Hey everyone, hope this finds you well. How are we all? So we're only a few days away from the winter solstice here in the UK. We'll be celebrating, I for sure, will be celebrating the winter solstice, and I thought it's a very poignant time. It'd be a wonderful time to kind of share some of my thoughts and feelings, and maybe kind of extract some experience and wisdom. Those of you who asked about some of these stories from some of my direct experiences with the most wonderful people I get to work with, some of my wonderful clients. Yeah, come January, we'll be sharing some of those insights and the Ask Shane again. But for now, I really wanted to share this with you. It felt very important, especially as we're leading up to solstice. I'm going to kind of be asking a few questions along the way. Um, so we're a few days away from solstice, and for me this year, more than any other year, feels really poignant. It feels really important. I kind of, for as long as I remember, I've always tried to get a grasp of what we are celebrating at this time, and more than ever, I feel the importance of the solstice, and in a way, just kind of stripping everything back. I kind of today was kind of wandering around, getting a few things done before I sit for this evening and consult. And I was just kind of, watching everyone moving around, and they're almost running through this time. It's almost like a blur for so many people, and bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of shopping, and looking really, really kind of frantic, and almost in a way kind of really stressed. And I thought, wow, that is not how I want to be spending this time. And I think that when I kind of have really looked at this, because I have really re-evaluated it, I have for years, but this year it's almost as if the penny's dropped very, very clearly. It's a combination of things that I'm going to share with you, but it's given me fortitude to really find the purpose and meaning of this time and of this season. And in stripping it back, I can really see, I know where my heart lies, and my heart lies in absolutely celebrating the solstice. The fact that you know the the light is soon going to be returning. The days are going to be becoming longer. Um, the sun itself is a miracle. The days becoming longer is a miracle. Isn't that absolutely worth celebrating rather than just absolutely passing it by? And I think that you kind of connect to this time, and you consciously just kind of connect with it, and you pause, you'll feel what it's got to offer. You will feel it speaking to you. And I wonder how many of you out there listening have felt it stirring, have felt it talking to you. And I kind of feel that it's so beautiful when you can kind of consciously connect to these gateways of time. And for as long as I can remember, they've been really important. But last All Hallow Eve, I had an experience that set this into motion, and then over this last year, having some incredible friends that I do, and a very incredible friend who she really nurtured this in me and stirred it up. And I'm going to be sharing a gift that she gave me for Yule this season solstice. And that's the thing, is stripping it back. I kind of look, and I think to myself, the experiences that have happened, and those experiences that have been nourished and nurtured. It's like lot falling into place even as I speak. It's like all the pieces of the jigsaw come together, and you can see things a lot more clearly. Even down to the fact, I love the idea of stripping everything back, celebrating the solstice, celebrating the return of light, having a feast, watching some of the usual TV, but also, what we're celebrating has meaning and it has real purpose, and sharing of gifts, and many of those gifts, either in experience or they're handcrafted, wrapped with nature, using kind of simple wrapping and wrapping that can be reused or recycled or put in your fire. It just feels that there's a lot more humility to it. There's a lot more kind of humbleness to it, and that to me is at the heart of who I am. It's like I just want to strip everything back to purpose and meaning, rawness and depth. Yeah, within that there is a whole ream of magic, even for the little ones around us. There's a magic, but you're also relaying some of the old stories for them, and you can't beat sitting there in candlelight sharing those old stories. That in itself is magical, and I kind of look back for as long as I can remember. This kind of draw, this pull has always been there ever since I was a child. I had that longing to run out into the woodland, run out into the forest, looking out the bedroom window and gazing at the moon. Then going to secondary school and discovering the library and kind of wading through all the books on mysticism and the occult, and finding some of those big old bound leather books that have got the old Victorian mediums in there, putting out ectoplasm, and table tipping, and then discovering my dad had reams of books on unexplained mysteries, and the occult and UFO phenomena. I was constantly seeking out and searching this unseen. Yet she was always there, and I say she because she was, and then I can remember an experience that I had, and it's in my previous videos, the Mark of the Witch, around All Hallowed Eve, and then a year later, all of that beginning to come together, and as I say, having some wonderful friends and a really incredible friend kind of nurturing over, the last 6 months or so, more than she realises. And she had sent me this article about the hedge witch, and what was really fascinating by that is many years ago I was drawn to understand and study Druidry, and then began a path, and then kind of studied with the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids, OBOD as it's known, and going to their gatherings and their assemblies. I was honoured to be able to go into Stonehenge in ceremony and ritual on many occasions, the Chalitwell Gardens on many occasions for the winter solstice, but feeling very more at home and more comfortable with the ovate aspect of the order. And the ovate is predominantly very close to hedge witch. And the thing about the hedge witch is you can kind of visualize a hedge. It's this whole idea of crossing through the hedge and crossing into the unseen, crossing into the other world, which predominantly is a big part of the work that I do. That I have one foot in this world and one foot clearly in the other world, so I'm crossing between the worlds, which really is the heart of the hedge witch way. And that really kind of stirred up a lot in me. There's a humility, the simplicity to that. Wandering the land, understanding and forming a conscious relationship with the earth. We are a part of nature, and I think the more we separate ourselves from it, the more we feel that. And that's what I was kind of looking at today, seeing all these people running around frantically with bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of shopping. And I thought to myself, they're disconnected from what they're doing, but they're also disconnected from their nature and what is natural, and at home here we've been bestowed the most wonderful little gifts of natural decorations, and I've got a natural pentagram hanging above me, and one sitting on the door, and the wrapping we've used it's reusable, and it's most definitely recyclable, and it's got nature. Parts of it are wrapped with natural, oranges and dried chilies, cinnamon sticks. They're just absolutely beautiful. But there's a humility to it, and those gifts are handcrafted. And for me, that's about sharing those gifts and really gratefully saying thank you for the last year, and then feasting, but in ways that everything that's come to the table is handmade. The food is homemade. From the Yule cake, to the Yule pudding, to the horseradish and the chutneys, even some of the cheeses. It's been made with heart, and it's not overdone. So therefore it's really appreciated, so there's simplicity to it. But I don't want to come across as if I'm telling, but I most definitely are sharing. And I think that if we can gently embrace it, maybe what will happen is you'll be liberated from all the kind of pressure that this time of year seems to place on people and invoke on people. And I guess that I love experiences, and I guess at heart there's a minimalist approach, and there's humility in there. But I kind of look back, so Samhain seems to be the time when then it re-stirred, but in a way, Samhain was always its time, and its favourite time of the year as the nights grew longer. She came out. She was somehow more visible, that sense of her standing right over my shoulder, and making herself known, and almost this hand resting on my shoulder. But what was that hand? That hand was the hand of magic. That hand was the hand of magic. It was young and tender, yet also old and raw and worn and wild, almost primal. And I kind of look, and I think that when I was exploring the path of Druidry, what I was doing was I was seeking her out. But actually, she's always been there, but it's about being ready. You don't undertake a journey like this without being ready. And I had to really understand what it really was about. Because you need to kind of be really centered with it. You need to kind of be rooted. I need to be grounded in it. And I think that it's so there. The other kind of video that's worth watching is the one about the grandchildren of the witches that you couldn't burn. That's what we're doing. Is I believe that energy is being stirred up. I believe that energy is without a doubt coming back into the world. Without a doubt, it's coming back into the world. But sometimes it can be really subtle. It is not always seen. you know, and I kind of feel that, you know, I went and I did seek it here and I seek it there. I seeked it through OBOD and other organisations, but of heart, I think that it's a lot more simpler than that, and maybe that's why, you know, the hedgerow tradition and folk traditions really sit really comfortably with me. But I kind of wanted to share some of that with you, share some of my thoughts with you. You know, I have been on this path without realizing it for a very long time, and I am hugely forever thankful for those experiences that opened my eyes all those years ago. But it's only now, as all the pieces begin to come together, and I think the validation for me was in the last week. Um, you know, those of you who have known the relationship that I've had with the runes in some of my previous videos, the relationship I've had with the runes, the relationship that I've had with what I call Odin, you know, it's been very powerful, and I certainly never went looking for it, but it in a way found me. But I want to share this with you. I'm just going to rest the camera there for a second, and I'm going to show you this. The confirmation and the validation was this beautiful drinking horn coming from a dear friend who had sent me the information on the hedgerow tradition. This is a drinking horn, okay, beautiful, and it's from a type of cow that sheds their horns. They just shed their horns like a bison, okay. You know, the ones that have all the kind of thick fur, you see them up in the Highlands of Scotland, you see them up north. They're beautiful, but they shed their horns. So there's this company in Yorkshire craft these beautiful, and it's Horns of Odin, the company, but this is Odin's horn. Beautiful, intricate knotwork there, and the rune, which is the rune of strength and of protection. It's just wonderful, and whole process, and it's cured to be able to use as a drinking horn. It was cured in Guinness, which my beautiful friend never realised that my Irish heritage there, but it's just absolutely wonderful. So this coming into my world was, you know, because I will carry that and I will use that this winter solstice in ceremony, but that coming into my life was that like a part of me coming back to me. It's like a piece of the jigsaw. It's definitely validation and confirmation, and I will use it for the first time this winter solstice in ceremony, carrying my staff. And I'm going to show you my staff. One moment. I could have got my staff earlier, but I didn't really think about sharing this. So it's forked hazel staff that I've had about for 20 years, but I haven't carried this staff in many years, but yet in a way it's carried me for many more years. But I'll be carrying that on my ceremony on winter solstice. Myself and my dad will be, my father will be walking out onto his woodland on winter solstice morning, late morning, and we'll be carrying the horn, and I will carry that horn from this day onwards, and it will absolutely be carried in ceremony. So we'll be carrying those onto the land and holding our winter solstice ceremony, which I'm really I just feel really kind of in a way touched to be doing that. I feel really honoured. My kind of relationship with Odin started 27 years ago. It was why I'm doing the work I'm doing right now with the Holistic Mediumship. I was drawn up to Scotland, across the Scottish mountains, and I was having dreams of a figure with a wide hat and long beard and showing me unusual markings. And then several days along that journey, I come across giant rune stones. And then when I come back, I found um, Ralph Blum's Book of Runes, and I discovered my first set of runes, only to then discover that the character that appeared in the dreams was Odin, and here we are all these years later being gifted the Horn of Odin. I wanted to share all that with you. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but those of you that have found interest in that, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I really wish you all the most brightest of solstices. And if anything, just kind of maybe take yourself out, pause, and gently try to connect to that light that's returning. And those of you at the other side of the world and that light falls away, maybe to really kind of honour all of what the light has brought to you over this last cycle of time. I really look forward to sharing with you all again very, very soon. It will be the other side of solstice and season as we move into January. But guys, thank you for following the channel. Please do share your thoughts, and I wish you all the brightest of solstices, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.